Hello everybody and welcome back to week number 6 of the Quake Pro League Stage 2. My name's Ketchup, joined by ZSX. We have quite a big matchup next. One of the biggest matchups of the night, in fact.
Coollerz.
Yeah.
Thought I got that wrong for a second.
No, because up next it's the final match is one of the Americas. It's going to be, I believe, Tahang versus Genic. So that's the memory. My memory's failing tonight, but that little bit still remains.
Coollerz is an insane matchup.
Well, it always is, isn't it? It's like a legendary matchup at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Raisy is just on his day.
Oh, there we go.
I didn't. All right. So I didn't realize this. Your cough button had toggled itself.
It was stuck on.
Yeah, so we're gonna break the fourth wall for a minute. We have a cough button if you have a cough, right? Normally you just hold it and then it does it, but his was stuck on toggle. I was like, I wonder why I can't hear you.
Yeah, that's never happened before. Fat fingers.
Or no, I don't know. It's just so much force. It's because you've got such big guns. You just a
Just
simple press.
I just
force
broke
it.
the desk.
Broke the desk with a finger. How about that in esports? But yeah, so this is to rewind. Take 2. Cut. It's going to be
start
Raisy. Yeah, Raisy versus Coollerz. How about that matchup?
That matchup's good. I can't even remember what I was saying now.
It's always good when they go head to head.
Yeah, I mean, Coollerz and Raisy are on their day. You can't really separate who's the best player. They've got very different play styles, but equally as powerful. I mean, Raisy's aim is just disgusting when he's on form, but at the same time, I think that's one of the areas that Coollerz developed the most in the past 2 years or so, and probably led into victory back in the Pro League. So he is so smart, on par, if not exceeding Rafa some of the time. I think he's a bit more temperamental than Rafa. I think with Rafa, you know what you're going to get. He's very, very consistent. I do think Coollerz blows a bit more hot and cold, particularly online. Raisy's fairly consistent in the way he plays, but has in the last couple of series he's played look a bit dodgy now and again. So nice to see if he's going to get back to that level that everyone expects from him.
Well, about time we have a look at Coollerz.
Right.
I think so. The reigning champion, winning stage 1 in Italy. That was a dominant performance for him. You know, it's not just about the return to form and you know the Cinderella story really of Coollerz finally getting a major LAN win that he'd spent years and years actually trying to gun for. And it wasn't just any win, it was, you know, one of the biggest Quake tournaments we've had so far. It was the Stage 1 finals of Quake Pro League, and it was in dominant fashion. So he's going up against Raisy today. We're expecting this to be a good match. It always is when these two players go head to head. But for Coollerz, I mean, he's the current champ, and there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and for someone who is not known for his aim, I think his highlight reel out of everyone's we've seen today is probably the most impressive. Like, his flick rails are insane, his rockets are insane, his trackings come on leaps and bounds, and he adapts so well to his opponent. He thinks about the way in the game that no one else really does.
And you're also in a position where you go so far back as a player that, you know, if you're Coollerz, you are now familiar with all of the tendencies, all of the habits. You know, he may as well have like a spreadsheet online of every individual player and what their tendencies are, and he'll just remember that, like a giant notebook or something.
And he, particularly in the early stages of the game, he was an innovator. He was someone who was pushing the boat out and trying champions that no other players were. I don't think he's mastered potentially the Slashes or the Athenas, but with predominantly the rest of them, he's played to perfection at some point in time. So he has that huge repertoire to draw from to counter his opponent.
It's funny you should say that, because another player that has that in the bag is Raisy, who has just been an absolute grinder and a half for Quake Champions. And I mentioned earlier players that really weren't afraid to learn Quake Champions as its own unique game, with the champions having a major factor. Raisy was one of the first players across this side of the pond that implemented that into his gameplay. Like, even right here, like, Raisy just plays with his food all the time. I don't think I've seen anyone in like a competitive play mess with people and play with people the way Raisy does. He's got the most gauntlets, he's got the most berserks, he's got the most any weird kind of frag you could possibly get in a tournament setting where normally it's all business.
And I think when Raisy hits stride, he's probably the best player in the world when he hits stride.
He's insane.
I haven't seen another player at this level recently who can manhandle other players the way Raisy does. It kind of reminds me of the way almost Strengths did back in the day when online, not at LAN generally, but online, where he would just beat the best players in the world by 20 frags. It'd be like, how do you beat this guy when he's on form? His hit scan is insane. His rail is insane. His rockets have come on a lot. And then when he plays, he's also super smart. So it's like, sometimes what can you do? So again, if that Raisy turns up, I would definitely back him over Cooler. I've seen him smash Cooler before, but at the end of the day, it's just a good matchup.
And then there's also the same time of you rarely see Raisy not in form. Like, it's consistency. I strongly believe that Raisy is the most consistent player in Quake Champions. Like, when you just look at his end placements and how high he places in tournament and the people he's able to consistently defeat, like, I don't think there's anyone out there, when you combine both offline and online, that has the level of consistency that Raisy does.
But do you think he has the same highs as other players? Because obviously he's one of the best, but when he isn't winning the tournaments as much as the people, for instance, or he's not number one in the leaderboards, there's a few other players above him. Does he have the same highs as other players?
It's really hard to say, because when Raisy has, when you look at like the extreme highs of players and some maps that are just like off the chain, like a Killsome would have or like a Cooler would have, like that's just like a league of its own. But Raisy, it just almost feels like, even if Raisy doesn't necessarily have the absolute largest highs on like an individual map basis, I suppose, it is just how regularly he can play at the top level and how you rarely catch him slipping. Like, how often does Raisy have a bad game? How often does he have a game that makes you go, oh, that wasn't very good? I can't remember the last time that's happened. We've got the videos to go through so we can see what to expect today and what the journey will shape up to be. It's going to be Blood Covenant first. Raisy gets the clutch. And that's the immediate thing I'm paying attention to here. Raisy said to be the best clutch player on planet Earth at this stage. Blood Run up next. We can see the Visor and the Doomslayer, and then finishing things up on Awoken, BJ versus Sorlag. I'm just excited to see clutch again, especially in the hands of Raisy, who is the best clutch in the business.
Yeah, I imagine Coollerz going to be putting a lot of emphasis on those vials to making sure that the clutch doesn't get too much uptime on that shield, because if you play it well on Blood Covenant, where it is pretty easy to take control of all 6 of the vials, I think there's 6, you could have almost pretty much perfect uptime with your ability. So it'll be really interesting to see how Galena fares there. And then it's going to be an interesting matchup. Blood Run, Visor obviously extremely strong, and Blood Run's one of the best maps to do it. And lastly, we see the BJ versus the Sorlag, a pretty stereotypical matchup. Cooler loves BJ on that map and uses the dual build in a great fashion when he's cornering his opponents, and obviously Raisy loves Sorlag to charge around the map at high speed, get a big stack, and abuse his aim.
Looking at some of the removed champions, the Nyx being removed, I mean, that just makes perfect sense. You look at the Ranger, taking it away from Blood Run, another factor where that's, you know, one of Ranger's stronger maps, and then Awoken. The Strog and the Pika, it may seem a little bit odd to remove it sometimes, but Cooler has actually demonstrated that he's used Strog a couple of times and it's been quite effective.
Yeah, and I think he's played it quite a lot on Awoken. It's normally Strog or BJ. I've seen it there a few times, and the Pika can be quite powerful around those small corners when you don't expect it. As well as the Cooler is very good at using the carrot slide with that champion, so it's a smart pick, smart ban, should I say.
I mean, the first thing we really have to pay attention to is to just see if Cooler can match that clutch. Because when Raisy, the reason we're so excited to see it is, and the reason it's banned so often, which is actually more of a talking point, that very rare is Raisy able to even use this champion, because he has the best clutch, because his clutch dismantles you. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what your champion is, when clutch gets going in the hands of Raisy, it literally appears that you can do very little to stop the pain train. You know, it's a remarkable pick.
Yeah, I mean, Clutch is just one of those champions that
look at him go.
Breaks the game like no other if you can get momentum with them.
And in the span of about 5 seconds, we see Raisy go from Railgun to down near Mega, but not the fast way.
It's just insane because you have so much speed, so much stack, and an ability that nullifies a lot of damage. Like, if you can play him well, obviously you are susceptible to so much free and easy damage, but if you can play him well, then yeah, it's potentially the hardest champion to counter.
Right, Cooler was able to disengage, but that was mostly just because Raisy was more interested with bigger fish to fry, more important objectives to take.
I'm a little bit fearful for Cooler here because he's going to have to play that positional game so well against Raisy. I mean, Raisy's already off to a great start, has full control.
And there's no chance on this earth that Galena is outrunning a clutch.
No, exactly. Has done well to get himself the Mega though. That's the start. But Raisy has also cleared away virtually all of those totems. So,
and you know, there's a butterfly effect of what makes Clutch's movement so crazy strong. It's not that he can get from point A to point B and get the regular items. He can starve you of regular old pickups too. You know, the major items like the Mega and the Heavy. It's true that Clutch is able to kind of just fly around the map and strong-arm his way onto them. That shield wall is available, and if he wanted to shut down that Mega right then, he probably would have had the opportunity to. But Raisy is a lot more content keeping that lead, keeping the other resources taken away. And now, you know, the Mega's been taken. Cooler actually put in quite a chunky delay. He hasn't taken it until just now.
No, and he's done a great job already. That rail's going to nullify a lot of his hard work, but done a great job already until now of keeping out of sight.
Good for Cooler, to be honest. If there is a fight that breaks out where the shield gets activated, it's right when the teleporter exists, so it's tricky for Clutch to chase you down.
He might be able to steal away this Heavy, and he is. Raisy playing nice and safe. Oh, that was close.
Happy to allow these pickups so far. And that is simply what has happened so far. Every time Cooler has been able to collect something important, it has simply been because Raisy is allowing it to happen. However, if he's missing these rails, and we're seeing Cooler return the favor, Clutch becomes a little bit easier to deal with. There's no immediate healing, and these rails are hitting their mark, but this is still Galena, and she's got totems. She will stack up rapidly.
Yeah, and you can see this is the vulnerability of the Clutch, is that Cooler is able just to chip away with a heavy machine gun, and you're not going to miss anything. So that mounts up extremely quickly. Nice rocket there, though.
Oh, risky stuff from
really
Cooler.
Risky.
Going in for the jump pad, knowing full well the shield would have been available. However, Raisy actually hasn't hit his shots. That could have been a dead Cooler, but he swaps the rail at the last second and actually misses the finishing blow. So
Cooler's
kind of
super
lucky from
fortunate.
Cooler, really.
Yeah, he's super fortunate to get out alive there. Completely mistimed that Mega. Wasn't going to be able to do anywhere near enough damage in time. But
now he's in a position to make something happen. Doesn't seem to realize Cooler is directly underneath him, though. I strongly think that Raisy would have dropped down on him if he knew he was down there.
Stopwatch.
Looking for some rail shots. Ultimately, Raisy maintains a strong lead all the same. Now he's going full speed ahead. Just watching Clutch fly around this map with the speed. It's good from Cooler, to be honest, to not make himself so easy to pin down. He has been hitting some defensive shots, but he goes full speed into a Clutch that was just lying in wait with the shield wall. Minimal damage has been taken, which really maximizes the benefit of the Heavy. And Cooler getting pushed away. No Mega for you. Get on my jump pad and eat this LG.
Raisy doing a good job of not overcommitting. Just doing what is necessary.
Don't do it.
He knows.
Oh, and he jumps down and finishes it. Perfect use of the plasma. Just to chunk that health down.
So much damage in such a short space of time, plus the rocket doing so much damage to himself.
Can fight through with the rail, but this is Clutch. Brave stuff from Raisy. Goes in for
Oh,
it,
he
but the
didn't
totem!
get the health.
Oh, just half a second short.
Yeah, he should have used it earlier. I was wondering why he wasn't using it.
Perfect refrag.
But no major items up.
Fresh off the spawn. That's a lot of damage coming out.
Yeah, that was
nail gun.
that was completely unexpected by Raisy. Didn't really have the weaponry. Cooler should have done damage, but he missed both his rockets.
Very unfortunate position, but he's going to get a wonderful rail. Looking for a couple more. Cooler gets hit by another. And
Nice.
another. Looks like it was just on the cusp. The perfect amount. And now he's off the spawn. That's chunky delay in between Heavy and Mega. So if Raisy is able to run this circuit, by all means he's free to. The shield wall is going to go up. This time it's going to be popped to maybe chase down, get a rail. Beautiful rail. And he knows he has the speed to just get in and out, get that Heavy, and now double back from a Cooler. And he can put pressure on this Mega. He knows the Mega's going to get taken, but who cares? Cooler, he's not going to have any armor now. He can press the advantage. He's going to press in with the LG and delete what was left of Cooler. And that choice to double down and get that cheeky rail before getting the Heavy set up that entire downfall.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. And I can't take any more of those.
No.
That's Clutch in a nutshell.
Way too risky there.
He can fight, but he can't survive. He's too chunky.
Still a lot of time left. Clutch gets in the back foot. It becomes very hard for him. Cooler got it.
That's perfect timing. And a swap to the rail.
Jesus. But that shows you, right, that with that ability and 0 items, he nearly killed a double stacked Cooler.
That right there is the strength of Clutch. And oh my god, he's flying through the air. Give him a pair of wings and he's happy.
And yeah, starting stack is so strong.
Going in for rockets.
Not hitting anything.
Using the air dash movement though to be as obnoxious as possible.
Oh
But he
my
actually
word.
missing what? I was about to say missing all of his shots, but that rail was a wonderful way to finish it. Never mind. Forget we said anything. He should be able to refrag here though, thanks to the shield wall. Can he get away? No! Hits the jump pad and that sealed his fate.
I mean, this is bonkers.
That was an insane shot.
He also gave the rail away, which is a bit silly. I know it's a small thing, but you kind of need to think about that, and it's you shouldn't really be giving away a free rail on your death if you can avoid it. But he did get a rail just before he died. 50-50.
Here comes Raisy again. The thing is, Cooler has been more than fighting fire with fire, looking completely unfazed by the sheer aggressiveness. And Raisy's going to drop again. Raisy being extremely aggressive now, and Cooler constantly being snacked up. This is still Galena we're talking about. SSG, and wow, that is why Clutch. I mean, he's a double-edged sword sometimes. He's got a big stack and great movement, but you ain't missing him.
Well, this is what I said, right? That it can spiral out of control if Clutch gets out of control himself, because you're just such an easy target. And Raisy's given away 1 or 2 frags that he didn't need to. He's going to give another away here as well. He's so early for that item.
He's being punished with it. Loses a frag and has to give up the mega to make it happen. I fear that Raisy's being a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too fast.
Well, this is one of my concerns about the way Raisy plays, is that sometimes, whether it's just an attitude or I don't know what it is, but he can get a bit careless on the defense and give away easy frags. Yes, when he's in control, there might be no one stronger to get out of it, but he needs to be careful and not give away such easy frags.
It's about looking at Cooler too, and that this playstyle is very likely to overwhelm 99% of the player base, competitive or not. But Cooler is not 99% of the player base.
Absolutely.
He's happy to just sit there and let you fly around. Like, he does not get intimidated or overwhelmed by what it is that you're doing. He's happy to sit there and then match that speed.
And Raisy's always going to put faith in his aim, no matter who he's playing. And yes, 80-90% of the time it will work out, but if it doesn't work out against the caliber of Cooler and he gets full control on a few easy frags, you're kind of throwing away the game.
I mean, give him an inch and he'll take a mile. It's Cooler's strength. He can make any small avenue work. Will never give up no matter the circumstances, and so far it looked like such a one-sided dominant performance for Raisy for most of this map, and all it took was one fight to go skew-whiff and Cooler to get even a sniff of control. And you can see Raisy, he's flying around the map, yeah, but who's winning? Who's beating who right now? Cooler just happy to sit there. Sit there and let it all happen. He's got the frag advantage. He may not be hitting some of these rail angles, but so far, who cares? It really is not what matters to him. And Raisy now just kind of sticking out some of these rails, really looking for that last-minute shot. Has been able to chase him down.
Oh, no, that's the best case scenario. I was about to say...
Cooler wins, surely.
I was about to say...
Maybe not.
What you want to do against Clutch in these situations is the opposite of most other champions.
And Raisy delete.
Against most other champions, you don't want to be holding choke points. I mean, sorry, against other champions, you want to be holding choke points in that situation. But against a Clutch, when he has that damage reduction shield, you want to be out in the open. You want to be in a space where you can get away if he's charging at you, and you can deal damage if he's coming towards you. Because if you get into a close-knit corridor with a Clutch when he pops that shield, you're going to die. That's what really messes with the defensive meta of playing against a Clutch. And so the fact that he fell off the ledge there was highly fortunate.
You look at the two damage, the damage dealings of the two players as well. It was almost identical.
I missed that.
Their damage was like, there was barely anything in it, yet Cooler wins by 2 frags. And it just came down to, at the very last minute, there were just a few frags there from Raisy where you're not even sure what he's trying to do. He's just flying around the map and he just bumps into him, pops shield. It's almost like, okay, I'll just quickly refrag real quick and then steal the control back. You know, because I'm confident that Raisy had the timing in his head all the time. So it's likely, look, I'm just going to respawn. I've got like an LG near me. I can just pop my shield wall. I'll refrag you, get this mega real quick, and then bam, I'm straight back in control. But it happened a lot, and I think a little bit too many times for Cooler to simply just jump down and allow it to happen. It's almost like the second he frags Raisy, he's well aware what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and that's the caliber of Cooler to come away. Galena is very hard to play against the Clutch, and he was using those totems to great effect in the close combat quarters. I mean, Galena on on Blood Covenant isn't a particularly strong champion, so it was deliberately chosen to play against the clutch. What Coollerz was trying to say is, like, if you're going to pop the shield and have a fight with me, I'm going to drop a totem. We're kind of even. And yeah, there was a couple of times where it didn't work, but then there was a couple of times it did work, and so it worked out to be a semi-decent counter.
But you just look at this. This was 7-3. This was a sizable lead. And it's almost like you blink and it goes. You just blink your eyes and the comeback began. Coollerz just took the lead, and from that point, Raisy just completely struggled to get control back.
Yeah.
This air of, again, it almost feels like momentum-heavy player versus calculated and experienced player. There seems to be similar results every time we kind of see those two styles go head-to-head. That when Raisy gets momentum, you rarely see Coollerz get, like, rack up the frags the same rapid speed as Raisy, but when Coollerz wins, he tends to keep that lead, and it's rare that you can come back on it.
I actually disagree. I thought that it was Coollerz chaining the frags in this, and I thought he did a great job of when he was when he died. He didn't let Raisy get on top of him. He played a nice slow game and was very careful. There's a couple of minutes at the start where Raisy had that great initiation, had full control, and Coollerz didn't let it really slip. I think it was only 1-0 for a couple of minutes. So it was Coollerz playing a much, much smarter game.
But that's what I found surprising was when we talked about how Coollerz, when he was racking the frags up versus Raisy, it was almost always fresh off the spawn. There was just this air of Raisy on the respawn. If he had a shield already, that was all that really dictated whether he went in or not. Which is, even for clutch standards, seemed a little bit unlike Raisy. That he is aggressive and he knows when to push with clutch, but there are a couple of moments there where he just didn't have the weaponry and a totem was ready for Coollerz, and it's kind of almost like there is going to be a pretty even fight here.
And that's Cooller's awareness and preparation for the fights. That he was the one trying to dictate, if we're going to fight, it's on my terms. I know you want to fight, so I'm going to hold this ground. I'm confident, let's fight. And he was doing great chip damage when Raisy was coming at him. So Raisy was never at that kind of optimal peak state of no return for Coollerz. He was coming in semi-damaged. Yeah, he was still in a strong state, but having that overstack to fall back on for Coollerz meant that he did enough.
Well, there is the element of surprise that clutch can often bring to the table. That's now gone. So that's the only time we're going to be seeing the clutch throughout the course of this series anyway. Mm-hmm. And the second you remove clutch from play, you kind of almost have to just discard what happens in the map and then go, well, what can we expect from future maps? Well, Raisy's going to play a little bit more standard. So we'll see what he kind of took away from that, but it is going to be Blood Run. I do recall some pretty standard picks coming out from this map. But Coollerz taking that first win in a decent fashion, Raisy being a little bit too on the gas pedal, as it were. Visor versus Doom. Nice and standard here, and we'll see what Coollerz, who we're watching first, brings to the table here. Piercing Sight was already used, just like he got that information. And now he's just going to sit and wait for his moment to make something happen. Raisy looks like he got the Mega, and now here comes the Heavy. Coollerz doesn't want to, does not want to give even the smallest avenue for Raisy. And actually kind of happy to just concede things at the very beginning. And now Coollerz kind of setting up shop in this side. Raisy collecting both, but there has been a sizable delay in between the Heavy and the Mega.
Yeah, pretty standard start here, both feeling each other out while they get the weaponry they need. No overcommittals, but
beautiful play there from Coollerz.
Nice.
He knows he needs the rail, but if I can get a rail, let's try and do so much. Oh my god, that close range one was definitely risky. If that one missed, Raisy likely would have punished it. The rocket's already coming through, but Coollerz.
How did Raisy get away with that? He came away relatively healthy as well.
Did take Coollerz quite a while to get his hands on a railgun. Able to get one at the last possible second. Looks like so far it has kind of been Coollerz trying to maybe feel out Raisy a little bit. Raisy's been the one navigating the center of the map. Cooller's been kind of setting up shop. And as the Heavy spawns for another time, we'll see what the play is going to be. Looks like Coollerz has been quite comfortable just conceding those pickups so far, but the Tri-Bolt Tunnel, that one hurts so much. There comes the rockets. Looking to pepper out some more. Tri-Bolt, Raisy pressing the advantage, but no one really able to hit anything until the last second. A little bit of a funky fight right there.
Yeah, big overcommittal from Coollerz at the end there. Wasn't really ever going to get the kill, but just wanted to do enough to try and keep Raisy on the back foot, and has bullied him off the Mega. So Coollerz now, if he can get on all the weapons he need, will be in control. And Raisy will have to be the one that sits back and tries to deal damage onto this Heavy.
As we can see, Heavy's just about to spawn again.
Nice.
Ready for the rocket and the follow-up rail that comes with it. And Yeah, too much of a risk for Cooler. With that health, even if he gets the heavy, that's arguably a death sentence. I mean, that's the benefit of Doomslayer on Blood Run. He's a champion that really does... No,
that's painful.
Wow.
He's just picked up one of the health as well, so he can't stack up as much as he needs to push out onto it. Good rail, though.
Excellent shot. And we also look at the fact that who's going to take that risk to try and get the heavy. Both players weak, but Cooler takes the rocket damage and with 4 HP remaining.
High risk.
That was high risk. High risk from both sides. Both players were fully prepared to die for that heavy. But Cooler's been dishing out some damage even further. Cooler, you know, even though Raisy, he's been the player that's been a bit more active. He's been moving around a little bit more. I know part of that is thanks to the Doomslayer and the double jump, but Cooler, when he makes a play, it's very significant. And again, he's looking for the rail.
Nice.
Raisy!
Well, they're kind of playing a relatively similar way in that sense, in that they both cherish control so much that they're willing to take these high-risk plays just to win back control. That they both just love to strangle the map.
Cooler got himself stuck in no man's land, so he's going to drop to a pretty free rail there from Raisy. And now Cooler fresh off the spawn.
That double jump lightning gun is so infuriating.
It's so easy to like underestimate it too.
Well, yeah, Cooler only had a rocket, so there's very little he could actually do.
Ooh, that
was nice though, yeah.
Now Raisy going in for the play to get heavy. Actually a last minute double jump. That's
Cheeky.
quite cheeky,
That was
that's
cheeky.
risky business. Raisy not afraid to be a risk taker, but he's having to get some rocket damage on the feet from Cooler. Manages to dodge that rocket at the last second. Cooler very weak indeed. Super shotgun just in case he goes around the front, but because Cooler chose to double back, minimal damage on the spread. Could have been the dead Cooler already. Tries to go in for the gauntlet for a last minute burst of damage, but not going to happen today. Raisy catches Cooler off the spawn again, but a bit too risky to chase down towards the teleporter, so Raisy's not going to be particularly interested doing that just yet. We have seen the heavy has spawned, and now he's going to try and get some of that free damage. Cooler getting melted down by this LG, and the SSG should be enough. There it is, denied.
Nice play by Raisy, just doing the basics, really pressuring Cooler. As I said, like Cooler will make some high risk plays to get control because he's confident in his ability to retain it and to win back a lead.
Oh, that's to watch out for the plasma.
Oh,
That's a lot of plasma.
a lot.
Only a couple of them actually hitting their mark, though. I think most players would have absolutely got destroyed by that. Looking for the rail shots, but Raisy knows even if the rail hits its mark, we're still going to be vulnerable. Chooses to double back, and now we're going towards Mega location. 10 seconds, though, until it spawns, so can't really stick around too much. There's definitely Raisy trying to get a little bit of bearings, set himself up for when the Mega inevitably spawns. In a good position to shut down Cooler, and he's able to get the Mega unscathed, which should help him win this fight for sure. Swaps to the rail. Nice little bit to finish the job.
But this is the problem, right? If you take those high-risk plays to get back control and it doesn't work, look at the score. Like it's
wow.
8-4 now, and Cooler's still got nothing to work with, so...
And he's so weak that even using a tri-ball jump here is a massive risk.
Ouch.
Ouch! 2 bursts of the tri-ball to melt a... What?
That was impressive.
That was insane. Oh, pops the Berserk. Maybe looking for a refrag, but realizes that Cooler is way too far away for that Berserk to be worth it.
Yeah, no, it was a smart move. Like, if Cooler was coming through there, then he would have got a punch to the face.
Oh, yeah.
But also then using it to get out.
Berserk versus LG, I can think of nothing worse. I hate it. You get stuck in a straight line, they just LG you without even moving, you die. Feels bad, man. But now, Mega just about to spawn, Raisy desperate for some stack. Extremely weak, Cooler looking to deny as much as possible. And even though the stream of frags went the way they did,
where he is.
This is a possible comeback, absolutely.
Raisy just having to play the corner game. He's got absolutely nothing to work with. No stack, no armor. Don't even think he's got the rail.
Okay, get some armor. That's a start. It's better than nothing, but
Yeah, there's a long time to go in this game.
the rail will make a big difference here. If Raisy's unable to get his hands on a rail, it involves going into the center of the map, which is the scariest place to be, especially if Cooler is now in control.
He does have the rail, though. I was
wonderful. Now that's important that he's managed to get it. Or that he's had it, I think is a more accurate term, but Cooler has to be super careful with the rails! He misses 2 in a row and Cooler punishes him!
So arrogant by Raisy, just moving out and standing there.
Well, there's a punishment for it. 3 minutes to get only 2 frags. This can still be a 2-0 for Cooler. Looks like it's been the Raisy show for a fair chunk of this map, but Oh my god, that play.
Oh
that
my
play!
god, that dodge!
Coollerz rocket dodges are something else.
Yeah, he's well known for having the best dodge in the world, so that was just sickening.
Absolutely beautiful stuff. You're so used to seeing someone with a rocket launcher in a tunnel and like, that's
Like
it,
that,
you're dead,
yeah,
you're dead.
he should have died. Like, he had like 52 health for 3 rockets. I don't think Raisy hit a single rocket after the opening.
It brings that air of uniqueness to it. You're against Cooler, and he's going to dodge your rockets different to anyone else on the planet. And how do you even prepare for that? You know, it's a situation that you need to have this like next level 6th sense for. But it has brought Cooler back into this fight. Unfortunately, Cooler LG'd him into the Mega. Has got some armor to work with. Piercing sight for this fight. See if it's going to work out. Does he hit just one rail potentially, but he knows the spam. It's too real.
Yeah,
he can't challenge it.
Using it as a get out free card, there's no way Raisy can risk pushing down the corner like that. The one thing I've noticed that since Cooler got control, he's able to now get some of the vials and get the piercing sight up a lot more regularly.
Oh, risk worth taking potentially for this heavy. Unfortunately, he's taken a lot of health to do it. And if Raisy gets a frag now, unchallenged, this is going to be quite disastrous. Cooler's going to try and win this fight. They match rail for rail. Who's going to get first blood now? Raisy's not even going to challenge it. He's out of there. However, he's quite weak. He's just got some armor, yeah, but piercing sight's now activated. He has to watch out for this rail angle. Cooler hits it, and he hits it perfectly.
Yeah, Raisy well aware why he got railed there. Backing straight out.
And it's too risky now for him to go for heavy. Has to concede heavy, and that probably means he has to concede Mega at the same time.
100%, there's nothing he can do now. He needs to just pray that he can find some health and armor before Cooler comes charging in.
Yeah, I think Raisy's only saving grace here is, at least I have the lead, I guess. But he's so weak and so low on stack that all Cooler has to do is breathe on him. He needs to get some armor. But even this light, yeah, this light is risky.
Cooler
Should, yeah, like
trying to cut him off at the other end.
Ties in the denial with his rocket jump, I like it. Cooler tries to catch him off rhythm with the rockets. He has to chase this one down. He cannot let Raisy recuperate. Oh, no trade! Raisy, you know he was just begging for a trade.
I thought that was a trade, but then he was just in zoom.
And perfect timing. So many light pickups on the map for Cooler. Back up to a regular stack.
Oh, is he going to catch him off guard?
Uh-oh. Hang on. Is he going to get the... Oh, we felt that one. Almost hit its mark. Wait, Raisy's still here. Often to take a fight, trying to get some of that bonus double jump LG damage. Scary business here. Sudden death. Yeah, this is going to be down to the final frag. One frag's either going to be a 1-1 for Raisy or a 2-0 for Cooler. This is a tense moment. And now, no, not only did he take minimal damage, but he got a 78 rocket and a rail. Cooler is so chunky right now. And he's got the piercing sight, perfect knowledge. Is he just waiting for the teleporter now? Potentially.
Yeah, he was.
Decides not to at the end. They're going to take a little bit too long. Can't give up too much of the screen here. We have got stack, but...
Going to take the Mega because it's the safer option. Can deal a lot of damage if Raisy decides to jump across for that heavy.
Ooh. Information for Raisy. Not that the Mega was information enough, but here comes Cooler. Players on even stack if you mirror the health and armor. But now, piercing sight gets popped. Information more than anything. Looking for something to set up. Raisy not giving him anything to work with. Both players should have full weaponry right now.
Pretty happy and content both to trade major items now.
This is a tense frag. I guarantee it's not affecting Raisy because he's, you know, composed as anything, but there is a lot riding on this frag. You know, this one frag being a 2-0 for Cooler if he wins is going to be quite a heartbreaker. And neither player wants to be the one that makes the first play.
No, I personally find Cooler's position down here slightly stronger.
Oh, there's the use of piercing sight. Almost got, I don't want to say semi-ambush there. Raisy coming up behind him. The piercing sight being popped meant he knew he was behind him in that situation.
And he steals
it.
Oh
No! Oh, what a mistake! What a mistake from Cooler!
And he's railed.
And it's likely going to punish the entire map for it. The teleport is used, and actually Raisy looks to use it as an opportunity to keep Cooler weak, because what's he going to do to get stacked? There's nothing to pick up here.
Oh, if Cooler gets away.
Oh, if Cooler gets away, I would not... Oh, no! How did Cooler get away from that? Oh, my God.
For now, he's still hella weak.
and there's no way he can challenge the Mega. And Raisy's all over it. Cooler, the piercing sight, it's the saving grace. I am shocked Cooler managed to survive that. If he wins this map, like I will be at a loss for words. It is insane that Cooler is even living now after what just happened there. And he had to concede heavy for another time. Raisy, no.
What's he doing?
No, no! What's going on? Oh my word, he's looking down the grate. He just mustn't have believed that he was actually around that corner.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to lose after...
After the missed rocket jump as well.
After everything, after crawling and scraping your way back into a comparable situation, after like being 8-4 down for quite a while, playing a great in control game, getting out of that situation where he should have died, and then dying like a 1,000 ELO scrub.
I feel like what just happened there was like
he just completely somehow misread that.
You can totally imagine Raisy after that sat there, and even Raisy must have been like, huh?
Well, Coollerz said XD, so he knew it was a bit of a mess up. But I mean, that was
uncharacteristic of Cooler for sure, especially then. But
yeah.
I mean, like, look, it happens. If there's one thing we can take from a few things that have happened today, it happens to the best of them.
I don't know what the spectator FOV we have is, but I know that Cooler used to, probably still does, play on quite a low FOV, and so there is a chance he just, on his screen, he couldn't see Raisy jumping through.
We had the luxury of seeing Doomslayer's feet.
Yeah, I mean, because
there is
we
also,
quite clearly saw it on this screen.
There is a strong potential that that's exactly what happened, that Cooler's FOV just didn't pick up Doomslayer's legs.
Because it was a double jump to get him up and over. I think we'll see it from Raisy's POV on this replay, but I just imagine he obviously just didn't see it. It was bizarre.
Bizarre indeed, and especially off the back of the fact that Cooler was even able to survive after a missed rocket jump towards the heavy. Took a lot of unnecessary damage, and the only reason he survived even up until that point was because Raisy had missed that rail, towards teleporter to be a massive punishment.
But you can see how desperate is Cooler to get control. We had two identical frags in a row. I thought it was a replay of a replay, but it wasn't. It was two identical frags.
This was beautiful.
That was great, though.
That's got to be actually some of the best tri-volt I've ever seen. Like the fact that he got 2 bursts, 6 hits, and it was enough to kill. That was incredibly amazing stuff.
This dodge was just... Oh.
This is like my frag of the night right there. That dodge was just impeccably amazing.
So the next frag we see is going to be...
Yeah, this was the moment.
This one now.
So he goes back.
Oh, did we see the...
X-ray.
X-ray.
Yeah, it was the X-ray that come through. So Cooler mustn't have heard him. He just mustn't have heard him in that. I'm sure after... Maybe it's because in the heat of the moment we weren't really paying attention to the X-ray, but it just looked like you could see him beforehand.
I swear I saw him like in full vision, but I don't know. It was weird.
We could see him all along.
Yeah.
But only us. But I'm surprised he couldn't hear him, though, at least. Maybe it's because Doomslayer was double jumping, so he's through the air.
Yeah, the sound in that area, because of the vertical levels, is sometimes a bit disorientating as well.
But that does mean that it's a 1-1.
Yeah, surprisingly, in a surprising fashion. But that was a good game.
That was an extremely tense sudden death. But that does now mean that this final map, Awoken, means everything. It depends on the 2-1, Cooler versus Raisy. I mean, with just the nature of how the maps have gone, they've been quite close both ways. And actually Cooler popping the dual wield immediately, trying to do some of that shutdown stuff. But hang on, Raisy! Straight off the starting line.
That was, that was very interesting.
That was one way to start the map for Raisy, that's for sure. Using the rocket jump just to beat him towards the heavy, and from that point, Cooler was just a sitting duck, really. Apologies, folks, we had a bit of an audio issue just now, but we've resolved it. Our end, anyway, that's all good. And now Cooler drops again, going towards the heavy. That's now the second time, 2 frags in a row now. Raisy's been able to just muscle in on that heavy location. Another 3rd frag. 3 frags in less than a minute. That's a good start for Raisy right there. Yeah,
Cooler again trying to muscle his way. All he wants to do is enough damage to beat Raisy away so he can start getting items for himself. But if it doesn't work, and against Raisy's damage output, if it doesn't work, he can snowball so quickly, particularly on a map like Awoken. So I am a little bit fearful, but Cooler has done enough to get onto the heavy, just trying to capitalize on that fact now.
Ooh! Raisy was a little bit interested in just trying to escape there. Got a bit of a bonus rocket on top of Cooller's head, but unfortunately he was so weak there was really nothing he could do to survive that one. But now the rocket's peppering down. Beautiful 100 from Cooler. Unfortunately quite weak. I'm not confident he's going to win this fight. And he dies at a terrible time because now Raisy gets the frag and
Nice
he gets himself
dodge.
a rocket launcher too.
Yeah, really nice dodge by Raisy there.
And the only reason Cooller's likely to drop there is because he died with a rocket launcher in hand. So Raisy was able to both get the Mega, take the rocket launcher from the corpse, and then just pepper it down before rocket launcher gets taken by Cooler.
Oh, he's done so much damage though.
And now Raisy has to focus a little bit on restack. Not really healthy enough to fight for that Mega. And Cooler being crazy aggressive again. He is full speed ahead.
Yeah, Raisy realizing he needs the rocket jump to get away from Cooler. He's a madman at the minute.
A man possessed. But Banana has some decent health items nearby, so Raisy still extremely railable at this health. A regular old rocket will do it as well. Well, anything substantial, I suppose. Or some LG off a jump pad. How about that?
And he has the dual wield up for the next fight, which will probably be around the Mega.
10 seconds to go on that one. Now we're point blank. Doesn't go for the dual wield because Cooller's just confident. He knows.
Yeah, Raisy a few seconds too early. Understand what he's trying to do there. Pick up the Mega and mid-fight. But this is what I mean. They play very similar. They want to bully each other off the map because they love to have that stranglehold and pressure. And so it's just kind of a bloodbath as each of them vie for control. Only once the opponent, should I say, has a full control of the map will they back off into more of a defensive positioning.
But now here comes Cooler. Dual wheel pops, but the rockets
Great
are
rockets.
fantastic for Raisy. And again, it's perfectly timed. And Mega's just about to spawn. And there it is.
That opening rocket was absolutely critical.
There's a chunky delay between Heavy and Mega now. Raisy likely trying to have the next objective as the Heavy. Does manage to get his jump. A bit of a trick jump potentially. I know he tried to go for it earlier but didn't quite get it. But this time it's on the mark. But he wasn't able to fight for the Heavy. All he can do now is, really try and just rail. Take out as much of the damage gained. And wow, here comes Cooler. Rocket jumping towards Mega, but it kind of looked a little bit like Raisy was one step ahead of that one. He almost had that rail angle for the rocket jump before Cooler even did the rocket jump. And that is going to result in a free frag. 8 frags to 3 now. Less than 5 minutes, and we're already 11 frags in. This is looking to be quite the intense set of back and forth here. And Raisy forcing Cooler away and getting some wonderful rocket damage. 99 in total for those 2 rockets there. And now he goes, sets up an easy rail. Nothing Cooler can do to stop the trajectory there. And now we just fly in, head-on collision. That should be a dead BJ. And he is going to melt away. The acid burns. Mega's collected now for Raisy. And he's just looking to just keep running that circuit.
Yeah.
Fresh off the spawn, there's not a lot Cooler can do, and Raisy's keeping his stack so high that it's very oppressive.
Yeah, and Cooler is running into him a little bit, so Raisy not really having to change his patterns all too much.
Raisy
oh
doubling,
no, and he popped the dual wield. That's really painful.
Raisy doubling back his movement the second he got hit by a rocket was cute, by the way. He was just ready for that.
But popping the dual wield means that Cooler has to be... can't be as aggressive. I mean, he's trying to prove me wrong, but he shouldn't be as aggressive.
But especially right now, too, considering the dual wield has gone, that Raisy can bully him on the spawn a lot more likely to. He has less to worry about. Now, at the end of the day, if BJ spawns near Rocket, or if he spawns near LG, all he needs is the dual wield, and that spawn just became extremely dangerous.
He's done so much damage, he's going to die.
Oh, wow!
Or not.
I cannot believe he survived, but that's impressive fights there from Cooler.
Oh my
Now,
god.
There is still the potential for Cooler to bring this one back. You know, there is plenty of time on this map left. It's just, at the same time, you need to stop this momentum that Raisy is building, and that seems to be easier said than done at the moment.
100%.
He hasn't even got a rocket launcher yet, and he's still just delete. Acid Spit is ready, and he's looking for the time to go in. He just wants to get some damage over time.
Cooler just wants to fight.
I wonder if Cooler just feels like the option to fight is the only one he has now, 4 to 11. Even though there's 4 minutes on the clock, it's likely that there's a situation where it's, well, if I sit around and let Raisy run around for too long, I'm going to give myself too much work to do. Unfortunate, but with an early lead built up the way
he
Raisy
moved
has.
just half a second too early, didn't have real timing there.
Cooler gets a rail!
Nice.
There it is. I was about to say, if Cooler gets a rail, there's a real potential here. This is a small map. You can catch someone on the spawn quite happily. Again, though, the danger is, without dual wield, there is the matter of the Sorlag stack fresh off spawn.
Sorlag's one of those
always gonna be there.
champions, the way in which she moves around the map to gather speed. She can get a bit... Oh, he misses the easy roll.
Yeah,
She
the
can
tri-bomb
get
knocked him up.
predictable in her movement patterns, and that's exactly what happened there. Cooler.
It was almost good for Raisy that his tri-bolt knocked Cooler up just right as he fired the rail. So he just went a little bit too high up, really. But now Raisy, he can go full back into defensive mode again. Because in Cooler, he was being crazy aggressive for most of the map, and he's normally able to find Raisy all the time. Does manage to get a head-on collision here, and not a lot of damage. Perfectly timed in with the light health bubble to stop the bleeding. And there is a real potential here to come back. There's less than 3 minutes, but if he manages to get Raisy and he keeps the control along the way.
Well, he has a good 12-second split on the items. That's more than enough to secure the items safely. And then with that stack pushing afterwards,
Wow, that rocket!
Raze needs to do something to try and mitigate this.
But now Cooler has to think, where's he going to go? Where is Raisy?
See Cooler leaving up that heavy, trying to catch him out.
He almost did near Banana, but he just missed the rail, unfortunately. Now the stacks are quite even. He has to bet on himself landing massive damage, and Raisy just missing a lot of shots. Yeah, the second Cooler gets a frag, and he's weak. Oh, you know, Raisy's going to get it, but Raisy's in the perfect position and punishes him straight off the jump pad. Yeah. That very well might have been a frag that sealed the fate, because now there's just so much recovery to do.
Yeah, there's honestly too much without Cooler playing out of this world.
Oh, wow. Nice little bit of LG there from Raisy.
Yeah, every little chip damage hurts Cooler when he hasn't got any sort of stack. Oh, he missed it.
Shouts to 40 lines. But now, yeah, just the defensive game. Raisy, just there's no reason to extend anymore.
No, he can play super passive.
The job is done. And I think Raisy himself kind of knows this map is over. Crazy high damage.
Oh, didn't
Just-
even know that was a camp spot.
I remember I saw that a long time ago.
GG.
Absolutely. And this has just been a great series all night long.
Yeah, this has been the best series of the day.
It's just been a complete celebration of just the level of play that Cooler and Raisy play at. At the same time, Cooler
Nice.
doing the best he can, but BJ, sorry mate. You can respawn in this game, it's all good.
The thing I like about Raisy, this Raisy, is, yeah, he's been a bit inconsistent, but compared to how he played this time last year, he's way less aim dependent. Like, his aim is amazing, but his positional play
Is he actually going to survive this fight?
Nope.
Oh, no, never mind.
Yes.
I was about to say, surely Raisy cannot survive that fight. There's just optimized next level little bits of dodging here and there, and he ends up just falling off anyway. But just what a great display this has been tonight. Both these players, you know, similar to the Base and Wenger situation, these two players are well up on the
Is he
leaderboard.
trying to pummel him?
I think so. I mean, it's Raisy. It's literally what Raisy does. Oh, psych! You thought I was going to do it, but no, it's Raisy. Of course, he's going to try and pummel him.
Yeah.
He plays with his food, even if that food is Cooler.
Story of this game is that Cooler tried to bully Raisy out to get
Got
control.
two of them.
Didn't work. Raisy racked up too many frags and then just played smart positional game.
Well played to Raisy, getting that big victory, and the more online victories he conquers during the the weekly stages of Pro League, I think it built his confidence for LAN and it built his confidence for the finals. But it's not enough, I think, to satisfy him.
No.
You know, when he goes to LAN, he plays extremely well, but when Raisy plays off against almost anybody online, no matter who it is, he tends to be able to beat them. So it's just, if anything, it's just a continuous run of what we already know. That Raisy is a god online, and when he goes offline, it just naturally builds the expectation that he's absolutely a favourite to win any tournament that he plays in.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised now we're getting into the latter stages of Stage 2 that some of the players in the top echelon of the leaderboard aren't going to start potentially trying out some new strategies, some new champions that it might be slightly less comfortable with, just because it then gives them that advantage on LAN that they have a bigger repertoire to play with. But ultimately, like the level of skill in this matchup was ridiculous. I think Cypher Avek was also great to watch, and I thought Avek played out this well. But this matchup, there was two players playing great, so it was It was such a good back and forth.
It's always nice to watch two players that are playing at a high level. You know, like when they're both on a good day. And it's just been a bit of a roller coaster ride, really. We had the insanity of Blood Covenant with the clutch.
Oh, that feels like a lifetime ago now.
I know, right? But it was the complete composure of Cooler. Loads of players, I think, would be so intimidated by that level of clutch, they just get steamrolled. Yet Coollerz just able to kind of just put a lid on it, for lack of a better term. And then we had the ridiculous closing moments of Blood Run. And then this just complete Sorlag masterclass from Raisy. Just been informed by Productions, had a quick chat with the production team. That pivotal moment on Blood Run where we weren't quite sure if Cooler could see Raisy or not. Production actually took the clip and slowed it down so we can actually kind of have a look at it and check it out. And I believe that's actually going to be ready to go after this replay
Weatherman
package.
analysis.
Well, apparently he was in sight, but it was a very small amount.
So FOV will play a difference.
Technically, yes and no, I suppose, is the answer to our question.
Okay.
But apparently the replay is getting ready now, so we get to see it.
All right.
I love how it's become such a big deal. But it was a.
I was just sure I
moment.
saw him. That was all.
This is more for our benefit, not
Yeah,
you
we don't
guys.
care about you guys.
Okay, yeah. So this is all right. So
You see him jumping.
he saw his head, and then so he sees his head, and then he turns around after that, doesn't he? Because surely Cooler must have just assumed that. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So he sees his head, and then he turns to the right,
All right.
probably assuming Raisy isn't gonna.
Yeah, all right. You bet you didn't see him. Yeah,
I see.
you couldn't see him.
You could barely see him in sight, but he just.
Oh yeah, but you see him
doubled
there.
back.
You see him there. See.
Oh, he is there for a frame. I knew it wasn't going crazy.
But
Oh.
but Cooler did spin his mouse slightly certainly quickly, so
He did, he
wouldn't
did.
have saw that.
Silly Cooler can't look at a frame of a 60th of a second. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
Like, yeah, of course. No, I totally.
But
totally
I guess that shows everyone that it's
that was still a weird
sometimes
moment.
you forget that we have X-ray on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I
I think we've done this for so long that it's
Yeah.
just like just second nature, really.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't help that now you can choose outlines of like opponents too, so you can see. enemy
when
outlines
you're
too.
playing, sorry.
Yeah. So
yeah.
when you're playing now, you can outline. It doesn't give you X-ray, but you can outline people as well.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of vision. But either way, that was one hell of a set throughout the course of the night, and it was a lot of fun. Believe it or not, we only have one more to get through. Should be Dahang versus Genic. We're going to go for a break and set that up. Thank you for sticking with us so far. That was one hell of a series, and this is week number 6 of the Quake Pro League. Be right back.